Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope that everybody is getting off to a great start. Forgive me for the shaky footage. I decided to grab the phone and just shoot from the phone this morning. I'm running a little behind, got a lot going on, got a lot to get finished today. But I did want to drop in with this live segment this morning in the midst of everything. Again, I'll go back and I'll add all of the links and stuff that I may mention after I actually finish shooting this video. I'll immediately go add the links. So if you want the book, Critical Mass, if you want the book, I Am, those links will be added to this video after I finish shooting the live segment. Again, I just needed to grab the phone and go for it. I didn't have time to go through. Because I have streaming software that's on my systems, I can't go on my computer and just go straight to Facebook and go live like I can on my phone. I have to go through the streaming mechanisms, which is a little time consuming, and I just want to kind of to grab it and go while it was on my mind. Look, there's so much I want to say that I'm not going to get to say, but what does come out, please take it and apply it. Look, we've got to stop being cheap with ourselves. We've got to stop being cheap with our futures. We got to stop being cheap with, we have things we say we want, but we don't want to put in the time. We're cheap with our time. We're cheap. We're cheap with our visions and dreams. We're cheap with our imagination. We're cheap with our money. We'll go out and spend money on a purse. We'll go out and spend money on some nice shoes, fellas, some good sneakers, a nice outfit. We driving a nice whip based off of where we're at. But there's so much more in life we want to do, but we won't invest in ourselves, in time, and energy, and money. How many books are we reading in a week? How many books we're reading in a year? There's a study that says the average American reads one book a year, while the most successful people, the top 4% or the top 5%, read 3 to 4 books a month. There's some connectivity to how we expand our mind and our thinking and our reach by way of reading. And this isn't just reading books about personal development. This is reading books, period. But definitely you want to read things that expand your mind, that expand your knowledge, that give you what you need to take yourself to the next level. You got to invest in yourself. Some of the things that get me when people come to me, they'll tell me about how much they think I can help them. They'll come to me and they'll tell me, man, I just really know working with you is going to be great. I just really know this. I just really know that. Can you hear me now, Erica? I had my hand on the over the microphone. Can you hear me now? I'm waiting to see. Hopefully you can hear me. But I've had people come to me and they're telling me over and over and over again, how much working with me would be a benefit to them. They're coming to me telling me, that they've watched so many of my videos, and they're literally several thousand out now. 20 books out now. Somewhere like 20 different programs out now. And so there are a lot of different ways that you can take what I've been blessed to encounter and take it and use it to the next level. But I get so many people who come to me and they tell me about how excited they are to work with me. And then at the moment that I tell them, okay, here's a link to the page with the pricing structure and the packages. You can work with me anywhere from 12 weeks to 52 weeks. And there are programs in between. And I don't even hear back from them. And I knew when I came up with my pricing metrics, which is based off of my value, not based off the value I bring, because the value I bring is much more expensive, but based off of what it costs me to give you an hour of my time. And that's why I'm not pricing it at the value I'm giving. You're going to always get more than what you're paying for. I'm good with that. I'm good with giving people more than what they pay for. I, without a shadow of a doubt, ask any of my clients, and what I deliver is justifies what I price. My thing is, I can understand not everybody can afford, where I'm sitting at. And I understand that. I knew that when I set that pricing structure up. But my thing is, if you feel that working with me is that important. If working with me is going to really change your life, at the very least, you need to come back and try to work something out with me, or tell me, look, this is a little bit more than what I expected. Because what people who have done that will tell you is, we sit down and we figure it out, as long as you're being reasonable. And I'll be reasonable. I'll come up with all kind of ways to work with people, especially my people. But you gotta have, this is what I won't do. I will never invest more in you than you invest in yourself. Never. And if I see that you're trying to skate by, that means that's what's happening in your life, period. And you're gonna always try to skate by. That's not what I'm about. So in essence, you've got to want something more to yourself. And it doesn't have to be with me. This isn't just about me. This is about a mindset. I'm not the only person out there that does great work. I'm good at what I do. And from my experience and my research and what I've heard from a lot of different people, and not just the ones that look like me, I'm the only one that I'm the only one that does it the way I do it. And I purposely am using who I am and the uniqueness of what I do to deliver that. But it's not just me out there. Find what works for you, but you're going to have to invest in yourself, period. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about time. It costs very little to go pick up a book. You can get a good book for $20 or less. You can get a great book for $30 or less. And that book will change your mind and bring back to you way more than what you spent on it. But you've got to be invested in it. If you're not reading at least 3 books a month, that's a problem there. But I'm going to leave that with you. And then I'm going to come talk to you about something that has just been on my mind. And then I'm going to get out of your way this morning. Look, check this out. One of the quickest ways to kill a dream. And when I'm talking about a dream, I'm talking about fantasy. There's a difference between a dream and vision and fantasy. Fantasy is just this wishful idea you throw out there about how life could just be so awesome. And you're in all these different places doing all these different things. And there's no need for commitment, no need for investment, no need for putting skin in the game. You're just out there in the world fantasizing. I'm not talking about fantasy. When I say dream, I'm talking about a vision. I'm talking about where your imagination and your mind come together to create the possibilities of life, the coming attractions, only if you invest in them and you get out there. And you look at it. One of the biggest killers of dreams, I would argue the biggest killer, are one of the fastest ways for sure to kill a dream is to share it with a minimal-minded person. You get excited. You come up with this idea and it's planted in your mind. And the reason it's called a dream is a lot of times it comes while you're asleep. That's important. There's a way to sleep. There's a way to go to sleep. There's a way to wake up. And I teach that to my clients because the periodic table that deals with all the elements of science that we talk about, all the elements, the periodic table that was created came from a dream. There's so many inventions that came to the people who invented them in a dream. And that's because that's when the conscious, which suppresses imagination. See, the conscious is saying I'm functioning on rational, reasonable expectations based off of current life experiences. So if you've never seen anybody earn $1 million, to say that I want to earn $1 million would not be rational or reasonable within your experiences. And so if you start to think that way, man, there's a part of you, your rationale and reason that will come to you and sit up and say, you'll never be a millionaire. Who in your family is a millionaire? Who in your family has ever made $100,000 a year? Who in your family? And it'll start coming to you and you'll start, wait a minute, what am I doing? And you'll die. But see, when the subconscious comes in and the conscious is not there to correct it, the subconscious has no limits. It has no ceiling. It has no barriers. It can go to beyond the infinite ideas and expectations. That's where inventions come from. That's why Albert Einstein said the imagination is everything. Why? Because it's the precipitator of life's coming attractions. You have to get outside of what your experiences have taught you to experience something greater. You have to stop looking at even your current reality the way you've been looking at it. You've got to change your perception in order to change your life. And that is so important. But when you start taking your new ideas, your vision, your dream to minimal-minded people
who have made it nothing but their life's work to whisper the sweet nothings of negativity into the minds of dreamers. They'll tell, they've been trained to come up with every reason why it wouldn't work. Now, a lot of them don't mean you harm. They think they're saving you from yourself. Why? Because what you got to understand is instinctively our minds and our brains are created to keep us from harm. Our minds and our brains are designed to keep us from harming ourselves and to seek pleasure and to move away from pain. So if the mind interprets it as pain, it's going to move away from it. And it's going to seek pleasure and it's going to seek safety naturally. So when you start talking about doing big things to the average mind, that's scary. Why? Because it's risky and it comes with pain. Pain is you could end up homeless. Pain is you can end up not being able to pay your mortgage or your rent. Pain is if you go after that, you can lose your job. If you quit your job and you go out there and you start this company and it doesn't work, you're not going to be able to take care of your family. That's what the mind sees, and the mind immediately shuts it down and says, just go back to being normal. Just going back to being mediocre. That's safe. But see, it is not safe, because how many people out there are now unemployed because they got laid off? How many are unemployed because the boss decided to go with somebody less experienced with less time on the job because they could pay them less? How many people are being cut short of what they're really worth and not paid what they're worth because they know the bosses know that they have to have the job? You've got to understand that in order to walk in this life and live at the level of your design, it comes with risk. You're going to have to put some skin in the game. You're going to have to invest in yourself. You're going to have to step out of the confines and the constructs and the restrictions of what used to be. Your experience is not the dictator of possibility. It is simply a reminder or an archive of what has happened. You have the ability to establish within yourself something greater, but you have to have an imagination and you have to be willing to dream. When you go to sleep at night, if you do this right, you open up yourself to receive some things and you get up and you write it down. Write the vision, make it plain. I told you this yesterday. Before you get out of the bed, I teach this. Different types of journaling. One of the type of journaling that you got to do is when you before you get out of bed in the morning, when you wake up, write down what you dreamed about. Because it'll go off to this, because once you step on the floor, the moment you step on the floor, you activate the left side of the brain, which is the reason and the ration and the decision making and all of that. And now it starts to say, well, that was stupid. And it starts to push it back into the back. And it starts to say, okay, this is what we really got to do tomorrow. You got to get your butt up, take the shower, brush your teeth, and get your butt to work before you get fired. And you do it over and over and over again. You get into this mode of survival. You've got to get out of that. You've got to sit up and say, okay, I'm going to let myself. But what you have to do is understand this one thing. And this is what I came to share with you today. That God, however you see God, it's not about me trying to push you off into any particular corner religiously or spiritually. It's about saying there's a power at play here. And if you acknowledge the power at play and you make the right connections with the power at play, things become more simple and you gain more power, because you are actually a part of the power at play. You're not at a distance. You're not separate in a way. You are a part. But here it is. Check this out. God, listen to what I'm saying. God's covenant of destiny and promise is with you and you alone. It doesn't require anybody to co-sign it. It doesn't need a witness signature on it. God's covenant of destiny and promise is with you and you alone. So that when God allows you to see it, that's his confirmation that it's possible. So when you can conceive it in your mind, that's God's evidence to you that it's possible. It doesn't need anybody else to co-sign it, because this covenant of promise is with you and God alone. It doesn't need anybody else to say, man, that's a good idea. I think you can do it. You don't need that. What you need to understand that if you believe in a God, however you see God, but if you believe in a God that's benevolent, a good God, then a good God would not torment you by allowing you to conceive something in your mind you can never have. So the moment that you conceive it in your mind, that's God's evidence that it's possible. You don't need anyone else to co-sign it. What you need to do is write it down. Write the vision and make it plain. Then you must make a committed decision. Because once you make a committed decision, it can't be reversed. You are now committed. You are a part of the covenant. You are locked into a covenant. There's something powerful about this covenant thing too. That's why 50% of marriages end in divorce, because people don't understand covenant. People move with feelings now. That's why they can't stay committed and finish anything, because the moment they start feeling bad about it, the moment it doesn't feel good anymore, the moment it doesn't feel right anymore, they back out of it. They back out of marriages. They back out of business decisions. They back out of financial decisions. They back out of things that they said they were going to do. Why? Because covenant and commitment doesn't carry the weight that it used to, and we don't understand why we can't finish anything. We can't finish anything because we've lost sight of the power and the importance of commitment. But when you make a commitment to take action on what you have perceived in your mind and written down as your vision, life changes. Why? Because now you are receiving it as a part of who you are. You have spoken it, so you have declared it, and it has been established in the fifth dimension. You don't see it yet in the third dimension where you can touch it, but it's alive. And you got to cultivate it by keeping negative people who will come in and dig it up and weed it out and stomp on it. You got to keep them out of your lives. Find you some people who will fan your flames. Find you some people who will speak power inside of your vision. Find you some people who can see deeper inside of you than what you used to be, what you used to do, and how you used to behave. A bunch of people can't see what you're talking about because they're too busy looking back at what you used to be. You don't need those reminders. You are looking beyond what you used to do to what you are capable of doing, and you've made a committed decision that things are going to change in your life. Now you've got to walk it out. Stop listening to them. You know who I'm talking about. Mama them, brother them, cousin them. All them names that are going to tell you why you can't and that you're reaching too far beyond your capabilities. And you got to be able to understand that Mama Nim didn't have the conversation with God where the covenant of destiny and promise was given. Brother Nim didn't make the covenant with God based on the vision and the promise and destiny of your life. That covenant is between you and God alone, and it's up to you to walk it out. You are going to be held accountable to God, no one else. No one else is going to be held accountable for what you like the great Dr. Miles Monroe say, the cemetery is the most wealthiest place on the planet. Why? Because people have died and taken visions and dreams to their graves with them. They've died and taken inventions to their grave. They've died and take books. There are unwritten books in the cemetery. There are unspoken lectures in the cemetery. There are inventions that haven't been created in the cemetery. There are investments that were never made in the cemetery. People took their destiny to their grave. That's why you always hear me say, I'm going to live my life on full so that I die on E. I refuse to take anything that I could have done to change this world to the grave with me. I'm not asking anybody's permission to be great. I'm not asking anybody's permission to rise to the level of my design. That's an agreement I've made with God that I'll live to the fullest of my capacity on a daily basis. I don't need your permission. I don't need the likes. I don't need the shares. I don't need the approvals. I'm going to do it regardless. Why? Because it's my design. It's my destiny. I'm going to achieve and obtain the promise. And finally, you got to stop thinking you can have the promise without first enduring the process. Process always precedes promise. Too many want to bail on the process because it gets hard. Too many want to bail on the process because it's got some disappointments. Too many want to bail on the process because it's uncomfortable. Too many want to bail on the process. Make a committed decision to rise up. Make a committed decision to stay focused. You've heard me say this so many times, it's unbelievable. That when I make a choice that I'm going to do something, it's going to happen, or I'm going to die trying. I'm either going to get it done or I'm going to die trying, and I'm good either way. What I will not do is quit. I will not back out on my covenant. I will not back out on my commitment. I will not shut down. I will not be thwarted. I will not be pushed back. I'm built for this. Tell yourself, I'm built for this. Face it. Go after it. That's going to be it for me. I'm out of here. Like I said, I had to grab the phone this morning because I needed to get this video up and going quickly. I didn't have time to set up the streaming software, and because I have it, I can't do just the regular live button on Facebook and YouTube because the way the system is set up, it won't let my cameras activate. I have to go through the streaming system, and I didn't have time to set that up this morning. So I just grabbed my phone and decided to do it this way. So I'm going to go into the system. I'm going to add the links and everything that needs to be there. And then you guys can get the books if you want to. If you want to work with me, that's great. Of course, I would love to take on a couple of more people, maybe 3 at the most during the holidays to go into the New Year strong. If you're real serious about it, reach out to me. But definitely you need to be investing in yourself in some way. You need to be putting some skin in the game. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. As I always say, I'm going to live my life on full. That's my challenge to you. Live your life on full so that you die on E. On that note, I'm out. You guys have an awesome time.